What is up, YouTube, and welcome back. Vlog number 8 of this off season. Today is Friday the 23rd of January, rest day today, so I thought I'd just pick up the camera, bring you with me and answer some questions I have received from my Instagram. I put up a poll last night, so I'll answer those throughout the day. Not much has changed back home. Obviously nice to be back into routine after being away for probably the majority of the new year. So it's nice to get some normality back into my life before it all changes again in a couple of weeks. Nice to be back into routine because that's where I really thrive. I thrive around routine, really love just doing the same things every day. That's where I feel best and where I'm my happiest. So going to make the most of these next couple of weeks and try progress as much as possible before having to pick up a new routine and everything in Oz, which will be fun. Excited for that challenge. But in front of me we have meal number 1. As you would have already seen in my previous rest day video, 75 grams of cream of rice, 50 grams of oats, 50 grams of raspberries and 50 grams of whey drip. Usually have an egg and sourdough with this meal, but ran out of sourdough, so I'll have to push all the fats from this meal into my next meal, which will probably be avocado. The time is just after 11:30 actually. The reason I like to push out my meal timings, especially now on my rest days, is because 1, I can do a majority of the work I need to do for the day when I'm fasted. That's when I feel like I'm more most productive. And 2, because I'm so hungry at the moment, my appetite is, it's sort of, when my food got a bump, sort of leveled out my appetite, and I wasn't so hungry throughout the day, speech impediment. But now the food sort of caught up and I am so hungry. It's like being back in just after prep. So pushing out my meal, first meal, allows me to shorten the window between each meal throughout the day, which I find really helps. My weight this week has increased by 0.1 of a kg, so it slowed down definitely. But if I had to guess on going forward into the next week, I don't think there will be a food increase, just because I don't see a point in it. Weight is still moving up, and because we jumped 0.4 kgs last week, I think the weight average throughout the weeks is still moving in a really good spot, and my training performance is still improving, which is the main thing. So that's that. I'm going to tuck into meal number 1. I've also got my morning supplements here, right there, along with my energy monster. Flavour's alright. Grape, if you like grape, you'll probably like it. Well, I'm going to chill out here for about 10-15 minutes, eat this, and I will pick you back up to answer a couple questions. For all of you in prep or about to start prep, enjoy that. If there's any content ideas you want to see from me, I know you like watching me eat, so those videos do the best for some reason. But if there's anything else you want to see, chuck it in the comments and I will incorporate that into my videos. I'm going to sit here, finish this, watch a bit of YouTube, and I will see you in a sec. Bah! Meal number 1, smashed. Did not stand a chance at all. Currently on my digestion walk, post meal number 1. As I said previously, it is important to get some movement in after each meal, just to help with digestion and help keep things rolling. But anyway, on to some questions. First one being, when will you be stepping on stage next? As I've said previously, next time I will look to compete is 2027, so next year, either season A or season C, so either the start or end of next year. That will depend on how myself and Boxy are feeling we are looking, and how we're going with the improvements that needed to be made. So we will probably reassess towards the end of this year and make a plan going forward on whether we go into a prep or spend a little bit longer in off season. But next year is the year I'm targeting, either start or end. One thing I haven't mentioned is I would love to do multiple federations. So last year I only did IFBB in New Zealand, and next year or the next season I compete, I would love to do multiple federations. So as a natural, there is WMBF, there's ICN, there's a bunch of others, and there's obviously IFBB again probably. There's a few others out there, especially for natural bodybuilders. So competing in a few different federations I think would be cool, because there are so many opportunities out there, especially for natural bodybuilders in those other federations, and the ability to travel worldwide competing at those events. So we'll definitely look into that closer to the time, and that's definitely the plan. But for now, focusing on the improvements that need to be made and doing the best we can so that next time we're on stage we are 10 times better than we were last year. Because bodybuilding, that's the ultimate goal, is just be better than you were last season. So stacking days and stacking weeks is very important. So 2027, you will see me on stage next. Next question, does size matter? Now I'm assuming you're talking about dumbbell size, and in fact dumbbell size does matter, because if you go too big you hurt yourself, and if you go too small you won't feel anything. So make sure you choose your dumbbell size sensibly. I'm going to finish up these steps, head inside. I've got a call in about 5 minutes, and I'll pick you back up when I pick you back up. See you soon. Bye! Meal number 2 going down. 150 grams raw weight jasmine rice, 67 grams of avocado, 150 grams of chicken breast underneath. That is that. Got my daily salt on top with some lemon pepper seasoning. Got my water. Remember to stay hydrated. And that's that. Not much has happened in the past 2 hours. Just been chilling out really. Done some more steps. Been working a little bit on my coaching. Had some calls. Give you a taste test. It's gonna focus. Fuck, that's hot. Perfect. Watching some YouTube. Watching AJ's new YouTube video, 4 day of eating. Can't beat it. I don't know if it's a bodybuilder thing or if just everyone likes watching other people eat on YouTube. It's no wonder those videos do the best.
You could possibly do, and you realise that you've literally got no other time for your out-free stuff, and these things I actually just really like to do. So
Currently on the way to the supermarket to grab some groceries for dinner. So I thought it'd be a perfect time to answer some questions. First one being, what is your current split? So at the moment I'm running a 5-day training split, if you call it. So I go 2 on, 1 off, 3 on, 1 off, or the other way around, whatever. So on Saturday I do push and biceps, and then on Sunday I do posterior, and then rest on Monday. Then on Tuesday I do push and arms, Wednesday is legs, Thursday is back and delts, and then Friday is rest, and then just rinse and repeat that. That is tailored to my weaknesses and the areas that I need to bring up for the next season, which is primarily my back and my chest and delts, so it's sort of that top line with my back as well. So that's the reason I train back and delts quite a lot, along with chest, which I've found very beneficial. That's one thing I would say, if you do have a lagging body part, do increase the frequency. You don't have to hit multiple exercises each session, but increase the frequency where you are hitting it, say 2 to 3 times per week. Then maybe just only do 1 or 2 exercises per session, because at the end of the week you have increased the training volume for that body group. Good, secured. Back home, my SD card ran out of memory, so I had to come home and swap that over with a new one. But on to the second question, which is, am I going to be working as a tradie in Oz, or am I going to go all in on socials and coaching? Good question. When I move over, I probably am going to work as a tradie, electrician to be in fact, just to get settled and help sort of gain a form of income. But my long-term goal, my goal is definitely to go all in on socials and coaching. I do want to make that my full-time job at the end of the day. That is where my passion is, and I love helping people. So that is my big goal for 2026, and something I'm going to make happen. Very determined, working hard behind the scenes. And it's a goal I actually wasn't going to say out loud, because it's one of the goals in case it doesn't happen, but now it's out there. But no, it's good. I think it's good to say your goals out loud, not necessarily putting them on YouTube, but saying them out loud, or writing them down definitely, so you can hold yourself accountable. Because if you just have them in the back of your mind, it's very easy to just forget about them, or if they don't happen, be like, push it to next year. But if you do have them written down or say them out loud to someone, you do have that sort of accountability thing, having people kick you up the arse and keep pushing things along when you don't feel like it, because let's face it, you're never going to feel like doing what you want to do 100% of the time, because that's just too good to be true. So in those rough spots, it is good to have those people you have told your goals to or something to hold you accountable and say, come on, let's go, keep moving. So even if it is just putting your goals, comment them down below, and then they're out there. You sort of have to make them happen. So it's very, very important holding yourself accountable, because otherwise things in life just don't happen. That's just the way it is. So very important. But in the meantime, yes, I'm an electrician, and I will be doing that in Australia. Smashing out a bunch of my steps now. I have another call in 30 minutes. In fact, it's for my coaching. So I'm going to smash out the rest of my steps and then hop on that call, and I'll see you afterwards for dinner. I'll see you very soon. Peace! I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to this meal. We have 100 grams raw wheat jasmine rice, 150 grams of rump steak with stir fry sauce, 75 grams broccoli and 75 grams of capsicum. Nothing beats red meat on a rest day when your fats are a little bit higher and you can afford to have red meats. It's just unreal. When you eat good quality food every day, your body will thank you for it, and you can actually make it taste good. People think of diets, clean food. You can actually make the shit taste good, so you don't crave junk food. I'll give you a taste test. Focus, you bastard. There we are. Fucking unreal. Also have my salt, daily salt on here. I have bumped up my low salt to 5 grams and lowered my pink salt from 6 to 5. So a 1-to-1 ratio, 5 grams pink, 5 grams of low salt. I was just playing around with my salt intake and how it affects my blood pressure. And I have found that doing the 1-to-1 ratio, 5 grams of each, keeps my blood pressure in a good spot. So that is, for anyone asking, why I measure my salt each day, even though I'm in the off season, and it doesn't really matter. The week I spent in Auckland, where I didn't track my salt at all, and I was eating an off plan every day, which was higher in sodium. I came back home, did my blood pressure, and it was a little bit higher. So just tracking your salt and knowing that it can affect your blood pressure. So if that is you, play around with it. Obviously I'm not a doctor or anything, don't take my medical advice, but just play around with it and see if it does change your blood pressure, because that's something I've learned. So that's why I do that. I'm going to eat this because it's getting cold. No one likes cold food, and I'll see you in a sec. Right, next question was, how do I apply progressive overload to my workouts? But I'm going to change it a little bit to how can you apply progressive overload, because it is such a vague topic and there are so many different ways you can apply progressive overload, get the most out of your training. So progressive overload, simply put, is the slow progression of training stimulus, and in that there are so many different ways you can implement things to increase the stimulus. of the training session and make it more effective to target more muscle fibers and then get stronger and grow. So the first thing is probably the most known progressive overload factor, and that's load on the bar. As I've said before, the increase in load should come from your body actually adapting to the weight you're using each session, and it should not come from you just chucking weight on the bar more and more each week, because at the end of the day you can't indefinitely get stronger. You can't keep adding weight each session and expect to get bigger and expect the effectiveness of that session to stay the same. When it is time to increase the load, making sure we are doing small increments of 1.25 to 2.5 kgs, not just slapping another 10 kgs on, because let's face it, if you do that, you're not going to be able to execute the movement to the same level you were at the original weight. So doing that 1.25 to 2.5 kg increments, it just allows you to keep the reps and the movement to a high level. Remember, in bodybuilding, you want your strength to come from your muscles growing and getting bigger. Another thing that falls under load is you can also increase your reps without having to increase the load. So for example, you are squatting 150 kgs at 10 reps. Instead of the next session you put it up to 152 or something, you simply go for 11 reps. This is a great way to progressive overload without fatiguing your body too much. So that as a whole is probably the most common way people see progressive overload, especially for beginners, and is a great place to start if you are new to the gym. Moving on to number 2, improving your range of motion and execution. If you are staying on squats, if you are doing squats and only go down halfway for 10 reps, and then the next week you come in and do the same squats, but you go down all the way for the same amount of reps, you are increasing your training volume, so therefore progressive overloading. Through those reps being higher quality, you are able to recruit more muscle fibers and therefore get the most out of each rep to create the most stimulus we can. Number 3, training frequency. So let's say you are training a body part once a week and you add on another day of training, which allows you to hit that muscle group now twice a week. You're increasing the frequency and therefore increasing the opportunity to create stimulus for that muscle, and also increases your volume of the week. So where you create more opportunity, you create more stimulus for the muscle. Keeping in mind that if you do hit a muscle group more frequently, you might need to decrease the volume you do per session for that body part. But over the week as a whole, you are increasing the volume of your training, and so therefore progressive overloading that muscle group, causing more stimulus and therefore causing more growth. Number 4, time under tension. Main driving factor behind muscle stimulus and what causes growth at the end of the day. The key for this one is keeping your reps nice and controlled. Not too slow, because you're still leaving a lot on the table if your rep is slow, but having control and also having power on the concentric. It is most important to control the end ranges of each movement, because that is where most injuries happen. So on the way down, for example, we're pressing, we want to pause for a second at the stretch, control it, and then power our way up, pause at the top, and then come back down. Controlling those end ranges is important to keep tension on the muscle, to keep your mind in the movement, and reduces your risk of injury. Most injuries happen when you aren't controlling those end ranges of motion, especially the stretch. That's where muscles snap and bad things happen. And lastly, number 5, arguably, fuck it, you know what I'm trying to say, the most important out of all of them, and that is utilizing a logbook. Tracking your lifts so you know going into a session what you did last session has been a game changer, especially for me. It's not something I've always done throughout my lifting career and wish I started earlier, because it allows you to look back on your past sessions and say, okay, I did this for this many reps, I need to match this, or you've written notes from your past session and it says increase the load, so you're not just guessing. Because that's a big thing I see with beginners, is they start in the gym and they see some gains quickly and then they plateau and they're not tracking their lifts and they're sort of just going into the session trying to memorize what they lifted last week. It's just not really ideal. It's the trap I fell into, and the one thing I would change if I went back, I would start tracking my lifts a lot earlier, so you're not having to guess what you did last session. Because if you really want to make the most out of your sessions and get the most progressive overload, you need a logbook and you need to track your lifts. Remember to only track quality reps. We're not going to do 8 reps of bench press with 2 partials and then count it as 10 reps, because when you go back into the session next week, you're going to look back and say, oh fuck, what did I do? I did 10 reps. And then you're going to do the 10 reps and be like, what the fuck? And then you're going to feel like you're going backwards because you can't remember that you did 2 partials. So it's just easier to track quality reps. I don't recommend doing partials, by the way. I'm being honest, because your logbook is for you and it is to get better at the end of the day, so you can be as harsh as you want in it. And writing down little notes like 12th rep will be there next week, take 2.5 kg progression next session. Just little notes like that, so next time you go in, forgotten what you did last session, you know that, okay, I can take the load progression, okay, move up 2.5 kgs. Or, okay, I'll push for that 12th rep. Just helps keep things moving along and helps keep the quality of your sessions to a high level without having to do any guesswork really. Making your sessions filled with intent and purpose to progressive overload. So that is my 5 ways on how to progressive overload and how you can incorporate it into your workouts. If there was one I had to say to do tomorrow, that would be start tracking your lifts. That is the most important thing. I am just finishing up my steps. I have just completed my 10,000 actually. So I'm going to finish this up and go make my last meal. Pick you back up for a couple more questions before I wrap up the video. So I will see you in a bit. Alrighty, waiting for my cream of rice to cool down in the freezer. But I thought I'd just answer the last of the questions. I think this question is sort of perfect to wrap up the video on the question side. And the question was, what is one quote or advice that you have memorized to help with life or training? And that is a massive thing I have learnt, obviously going through prep and finding ways to keep yourself motivated and focused on the goal at hand. Also coming out of prep and not necessarily having that close goal, that short-term goal, to keep yourself driven, because it is easy just to turn off and just forget it, because it is easy just to turn off and go off track a little bit, lose momentum. I have 2 pieces of advice or quotes, you could say, one in the gym and one to do with sort of life and your goals sort of thing. So to do with life, the first one being, I don't know if it's a quote or a saying, but it's something I've learnt on when times do get tough and you do question yourself, is this worth it? That thought of quitting does arise. Is the saying, you're not doing it wrong, you're just in the part where most people quit. And I think that is so important to know. As Michael B. Jordan once said, people give up right when they're about to get everything they've always wanted. I believe those moments when you are feeling down and sort of trapped, wanting to give up and questioning yourself whether it's worth it or not. I feel like those tough times do define you as a person. Withstanding those moments and enduring them and sticking with it, you do build up a certain strength emotionally and mentally, which I find is quite rare these days, where people love their comfort zone. They love just going back to comfort because it's easy back there, where if you just stay in the uncomfortable times and really embrace them, that's where all the magic happens. I believe where all the successful people are made, separated from the people who don't make it and the people who do make it, is all to do with the people that make it, stuck it through the tough times. They withstood those challenges and came out the other end, where the majority of people would just drop off and go back to their comfort zone because it's too hard. It's also about perspective, changing your perspective on life and not always looking at the negative side of things. So if you change your perspective, life can be seen in so many different ways. Try to look for the positives in things, because the perspective you have on life and on things does change the way you are. Let's say, for example, you have a situation where one person is looking at all the bad things and someone is looking at all the good things. Someone's going to see that situation as a good situation and someone's going to see that situation as a bad situation. It's the same situation, but 2 people see it as completely different things, one bad and one good. So most things in life, you're going to have the bad and the good. It's just changing your perspective on it and picking out the good things. Acknowledging all the bad things are there. It is important to acknowledge all the bad things, but putting all your energy into the good things and not allowing all the bad things to drain your energy. I'll give you an example. Say you're doing a prep and you have to do, 15,000 steps. you could look at that 15,000 steps and go, fuck that, that's a lot of steps. I can't be fucked. Fuck this, fuck this, fuck this. Or you could look at those 15,000 steps and say, I'm glad I get to walk. I'm glad I have 2 feet, 2 legs. I'm blessed that I can actually do those steps and do what I love. And the one piece of gym advice or a quote or saying whatever, discipline is choosing who you want to be over how you feel today. So you go into the gym and you're not feeling it, workouts maybe not going as well as you want it to be. It's important to regroup, think that you've got your goal in mind, whether that's 6 months down the line, a year down the line, let's say for example a competition, and even though you are feeling like shit, staying in that workout and giving it your all instead of saying, nah, fuck this, don't feel it, and go home. For example, you're not at the gym and you wake up and you don't feel like going, you're tired, you're sore. You need to put your feelings of how you feel in that moment aside and think about the goal you have and ignore those feelings, because the goal you have in mind isn't going to be accomplished by making decisions based off your emotions. Goals will be achieved by putting emotions aside, having the discipline to do those things without feeling like it. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline is the driving factor, doing things day in, day out, consecutively, without missing a heartbeat. So hopefully you can take a little bit of wisdom away from that. I think my cream of rice will be ready, so I'm going to go whip that up and I will see you in a bit. Final meal is made. About to sprinkle some cinnamon on the top. That'll do it. I fucked up my whey drip, so I had to drink it. I couldn't be fucked reviving it, so I thought may as well drink it and get it out of the way. This is what we have. In fact, I'll just show you. 125 grams of cream of rice, 100 grams of blueberries, 10 grams of walnuts, and 10 grams of almonds with some dark chocolate underneath. The nuts are in there for just an extra fat source, as my fats are higher on rest days, so it's nice to add them in my cream of rice to add a little bit of texture, crunchy texture. Have the rest of my salt on here too. If you're not sticking some salt on your cream of rice, what are you doing? You're missing out. This is for all of you dieting right now and on prep or about to go on prep. But that's going to wrap up this video, vlog number 8. Hopefully it's not too long. I did a lot of yapping today. If you have watched the video up to this point, put down a fat W in the comments. I appreciate you. You're a real one. But no, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next vlog. Peace out.